Okay, so today's uh, topic is Introduction to Rtos, that is unit number 2. In this lecture, I will cover these following points. Okay, so first point is the difference between the desktop operating system and the Rtos. Okay, so that is how you have to compare your desktop with the Rtos, and we have to see how Rtos is different from your desktop operating system. A second point we have to see, that is Rtos vendors. Rtos vendors means the companies that will design all those different types of Rtos. Okay, so those vendors, and what are the different properties of Rtos. So these are some of the very common questions that are asked in the oral exam and as well as in the theory exams also. Now, very important thing that we have to understand is a task. Okay, so what is task? That is a definition of task. Then we have to see task state transition diagram. Then different task states. Then we have to see task scheduler. Then task and the relation with the different data. Okay, and once you understood all those basic concepts, then we have to go to the simple example of Rtos. Okay, based on your embedded system. Some example I will discuss, such as underground tank monitoring system. Okay, so this is what the agenda for this lecture. We'll see how many points we will cover. Okay, so that's why these lectures are very important. Okay, so we go for the first point before we again continue. So let me know it is visible, whether my slides are visible to all. Okay, just give me the confirmation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Everyone. I want the response from everyone. Yes or no? Okay, just give in the chat box. Is it visible on your mobile? Okay, it's all right. So we will go for the first point. That is, we will compare our desktop operating system with the Rtos. Okay, very good. So the first point, okay, so there is a question on this point also, okay, in the theory also, and also in the Viva. Everywhere you will get these questions in Viva, oral, practicals, everywhere. Okay, so that is how your Rtos is different from the desktop, because already we have the desktop. Then one can ask why to go for the Rtos. So there are some very important point of comparison we will discuss. So the first point that is, just see, before we continue, you should know the difference between the your operating system and the application software. So can anybody tell the what are the different operating systems and what are the different application programs? Anybody? Okay, so on our personal computers, we have only two softwares. Okay, one is a operating system. For example, on my laptop, I have a OS of Windows 10. Okay, so this is my operating system, and I have a different application softwares. So what are the different application softwares? So right now I'm using a PowerPoint. Okay, Microsoft Office, Microsoft PowerPoint. Then I'm using Zoom. Okay, and then you have Internet Explorer. So all those are nothing but the application softwares. So just say this is what first you should know the difference between the application software. So on my PC, I have only two parts. One is the operating system and another is a number of application programs, okay, or application softwares. So those two parts I have to control. Okay. Now the first difference is in terms of your application program and the OS. Okay, so desktop operating systems takes control of the machine as soon as it is turned on. Okay, that means if I turn on my machine, okay, so I have two programs. One is the operating system, this is the one software program, and another is the application program. That is, for example, my Microsoft PowerPoint. So if I turn on my desktop system, so which program will take the control first? Okay, so which will take the control first? Kakade, are you getting the question or not? I turn on my PC, okay, and after turning on my PC, I have my Windows 10, and then I have my application software, that is Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay, So which application will take the control first? Deshmukh?
Operating system.
Operating
Windows.
system, obviously, it's right. Whenever you turn on your PC, your operating system will take the control first, and then you are going to, then you are going in a start, and then you are opening different application softwares. Okay, so that is what the first difference. That is, desktop operating system takes control of the machine as soon as we turn it on. Okay, and then lets you start your application. For example, Microsoft Office or PowerPoint or your Zoom or any other Internet Explorer, all these are the application software. So this is what done in the desktop operating system. Now you can compile and link your applications separately from operating system. So in desktop operating system, it is possible to compile and link your application separately from operating system. These are not linked with your operating system. Okay, that means operating system is a different part and your application softwares are different parts, though those are not interlinked. Okay, now what is done in embedded system? In embedded system, you can usually link your application and the Rtos. Okay, that means when you turn on your Rtos system, that is embedded systems, okay, or whatever the kit of your embedded system with the Rtos, so at the boot up time itself, your application usually gets controlled first and then it start the Rtos. Okay, that means whenever you turn on your embedded system, so whatever the development board of embedded system you have seen, so if you turn on the power of that board, so rather than getting the control by the Rtos, the application software will take the control. Okay, so in Rtos also there are two parts. First part is a real-time operating system, that is a OS, and another software is called as a application program. So like desktop, you have the same type of two-part OS and the application software. But in embedded system or in Rtos, what happens when you turn on your embedded systems, okay, which having the Rtos, so your application program will take the control first, and after that it will transfer the control to the Rtos. Are you getting or not? This is what the main difference between the Rtos and desktop OS. Okay, in desktop OS, it's very simple. If I turn on my PC, okay, so after turning the my PC on, the control of my whole system is taken by the OS first. Okay, and after that, if you are interested in opening your application software, then you open your application softwares. Okay, and after that, once you open your application software will take the control of the your PC itself. Okay, but now what happens in the embedded systems? In embedded system are designed such that whenever you power on your embedded systems, first your application software will take the control. That means if you put such a kind of Zoom or maybe the PowerPoint kind of application in your Rtos, so first your PowerPoint will take the control of your embedded systems, and after that it will shift the control to the main OS, that is Rtos. Okay, so now that is the main difference in the in terms of the OS and the application software. Are you getting or not? This first difference. Okay, so this is what inside the system. Okay, so there is a question based upon this comparison. That is explain how your Rtos and its applications are tightly that is more tightly to each other. Okay, so you have to explain this with the help of example. So the last statement in the slide is because of this, the application and the Rtos are much more tightly tied to one another than are an application and its desktop operating system. That means in desktop OS, your Windows 10 or Windows 12, likewise, these OS are not tightly tied with your application softwares. Okay, that means they are not highly dependent on each other indirectly. Okay, means your OS and application softwares are not strictly dependent on each other in desktop operating system. However, in embedded systems or in Rtos, your Rtos and its applications are very much tightly connected to each other. That means they are highly dependent on each other. That means if one fails, the another is also fails. Okay, I will explain that next difference also. That is, for example, in desktop, you are working on the Internet Explorer. That is your application software. And if your system get hang, okay, so what happen? You will put a alter control and delete, okay, and you come out of that situation, okay. That means you are losing the application of Internet Explorer, but you are not losing your OS, okay. You are in the system itself. Are you getting or not? But in embedded, what happen? Once your application fails, that means if your application get hang, so that time your Rtos also get hang, okay. That is why this is called as the Rtos and its applications are tightly connected to each other. That means if one application of your embedded system fails, its Rtos also fails, okay. But in desktop, it having the opposite situation. For example, uh, if your application fails, your OS is not going to fail, okay. You can come out of that situation by just taking the alter control delete. You will come out that situation also, and again you reopen your application, okay. So this is the first point, okay. I think you have understood. Now the second point, just see that is what I have just told. That is, many Rtos do not protect themselves as carefully from your application as do desktop operating system. So that is what the second difference, okay. That is, in Rtos, if application fails, is for example, in Rtos, I have the PowerPoint application as an application. And if my PowerPoint application get fail means it get hang, okay, in Rtos. So that time, if my application is fails, my Rtos is also fails. That means your embedded system also get failed, okay. So this is what the reason why we call as that is Rtos is very much tightly connected to your applications, okay, in Rtos based embedded systems. However, in desktop, you can recover it back, okay, from the OS also. So last is in desktop OS, if application fails, desktop OS protects itself against the failure, okay. So this is what the second main difference between the desktop OS and the Rtos. That means desktop systems or in the OS of your desktop systems will protect their selves, okay, against any failure from the application software such as the Internet Explorer or MS Office or any other applications. So even though application get failed, your OS will protect themselves, okay. So your OS is not going to fail. But in Rtos, what happen? If your application fails, your Rtos also fails, okay. Are you getting or not? Just give me the confirmation, yes or no, or whether I have to repeat it. Are you getting this 2 point or not? Everyone?
सर रिपीट करा ना.
Okay. First point I will again repeat. We have the desktop operating system, okay. Now in your desktop operating system, you have only two types of softwares. First is operating system and second is application software. So are you getting or not? What is okay. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
I'm just using Paint. So what are the OS? Okay. So OS, already we know that OS means either you have Windows, okay, different Windows 10 or Linux, okay, likewise. And then you have application softwares. So what are the different application softwares? Everybody. What are the application softwares that we install on our PC? कुठल्या असतात? Application softwares. Okay, Zoom. Okay. Okay, Zoom is okay, but most of the time your PC having some of the application software like MS Office. Okay, then you have the PDF, that is Acrobat readers. Okay, then you have like for example, right now I'm using Paint. Okay, then you have another that is PowerPoint. Okay, PowerPoint. Then you have Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer. So all these are the application software. Now what happens with the desktop operating system? Whenever you turn on your PC, okay, so your operating system will take control. Okay, and after that you are going to open your application software. Okay, for example, this PowerPoint. So once you open the PowerPoint, so this is the application software. Now in the previous state, your OS has the control of the system. But now once you shift to the application software, now application has the control. Okay. But what happened at the time of turning your PC on, that time your Windows 7, 10 or whatever the Windows that will take the control of your PC. Okay, so this is the first difference. Now what happened in Rtos type of embedded system, whenever you turn on your embedded system on, so that time it will rather than taking the control of your embedded system by the Rtos, the application software takes the control. Okay, so this is the basic difference. In desktop, once you power on the system, the OS will take the control. In Rtos, whenever you power on the system, your application software will take the control. Okay, so this is what the basic difference. Are you getting or not? It's too easy. Okay, just give me the confirmation, yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Kumbar, are you getting the things or not? Bhosle? Should I continue to the next point? Are you getting the first point? The first point based upon the control of your system. Okay, so in desktop, at the time of power on, your OS will take the control and then it will shift to the application software. Okay, in Rtos, what happen at the time of power on, the application software or application program takes the control and then it will shift the control to the Rtos. Okay, this is very similar example. Okay, for example, you directly come to the just say you have the college. Okay, let your college is a operating system and your department is application software. Okay, now in the desktop system, what happen whenever you come inside the this environment of this college. So once you enter into the gate, okay, so first your college will take the control of the whole environment. Okay, and after that it will shift the control to the department. So this is what the analogous example of desktop operating system. Now what is the analogous example to embedded system? Rather than taking the control of the environment by the college itself, okay, so first department will take the control of the whole environment and then it will shift the control to the college. Now are you getting this simple example? Very much analogous example to the desktop and Rtos. So in Rtos, what happened? The application software first takes the control and then it will shift the control to the Rtos. Okay. I think it's okay. Now the third point that is in terms of memory. Okay. So in Rtos, what happened? In embedded system, what happened? We have limited set of memory. Okay, our memory is limited, maybe in kilobytes or in a megabytes. However, the memory size on desktop operating systems is quite high. Okay, because we are using the hard disk, and the size of hard disk is 1 tera. Likewise, right now. Okay, so the storage capacity of your desktop OS is very high, whereas the storage capacity or memory capacity of Rtos or embedded system is quite low. Okay, so depending upon this capacity, the third main difference is this one, that is to save memory of embedded system, Rtos will typically include the just the services that you need for your embedded system and no more. Okay. For example, OS functions as file managers, comma input output drivers, comma utilities and memory management. Okay. However, in desktop operating system includes all services, hence it requires more memory. Okay. Uh, Now, if you install the any operating system on your laptop, on your PC, you will understand the difference between the desktop OS and the Rtos. Now, what is done in conventional Rtos systems? Okay, whenever you install the OS, after installing the OS, the second step is to install the drivers. Okay, now what are the drivers for your PC? So you have the drivers like Bluetooth, okay, then Wi-Fi, okay, then maybe the other joystick, and you have some graphics drivers, okay, then internet, that is LAN drivers. Are you getting or not? So these are the different types of drivers you are going to install. In the first process, you are installing the OS on the system. In second step, you are installing the different types of drivers that are required for your application. Okay. So many times it happens that you are installing all different types of drivers on your PC. Okay, why you are installing all different, let you have 100 types of different drivers in on for desktop operating system. So you are installing all 100 types of drivers on your desktop operating systems. Okay, now even though you are not going to use all the 100 drivers, okay, you are going to use only 10 drivers. Okay, which one? Let Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and most of the time that is your LAN. Okay, so you are using this that three, and let there are some more drivers you are going to use. That is, let maximum 10 drivers you are going to use. Okay, but still you have installed hundreds of drivers on your desktop OS. Why this is possible? Because your desktop operating system have a more memory, because it having a hard disk whose size is in terabytes. So that's why it is possible. Now, if your memory is less, okay, so that time whether you are going to install all the drivers, no, you are not going to install all the drivers if your memory is less. Okay, or if it is limited, then you are not going to install 100 number of drivers, rather than you are going to install only the required number of drivers. For example, for my application I will require only three drivers. Okay, one is Bluetooth, Wi-Fi and LAN. Okay, now I require only three types of drivers. Then why should I install the remaining 100 number of drivers? Okay, but still we are going to install this on your desktop, because we have the that is more size of the memory, like a hard disk. So this is the reason. Now what happened in terms of your embedded system or Rtos? Now in Rtos or in embedded system, the RAM and ROM memory having a limited size, either it is in kilobytes or in a megabytes. So it is not possible to install all different 100 types of drivers. Okay, so what is done in Rtos? In Rtos, we will install only the required number of drivers that will require to run your applications. Okay, so that is what I had told. That is, my application right now requires only three drivers. Only first is a LAN driver, second is Wi-Fi driver, and the Bluetooth driver. Okay, Bluetooth driver. So I will install only the three drivers if I am going to use Rtos. Now why I install three drivers? Because I have a limited set of memory. Okay, now if I try to install the all 100 drivers on your embedded system, is it possible? First of all, so this is not possible at all, because I have a very limited set of memory. Okay, so this is what the third difference, that is, in Rtos you have to install only the required number of services, okay, with your embedded system. Okay, so if you are not going to uh, use other types of services, so do not install or copy those services into the memory, because you have limited set of memory. Now what is done in desktop system? In desktop system, even though you require only 10 number of services, you are going to install all 100 number of services. Okay, but this is possible because you have the fast memory. So this is what the very important difference between the desktop OS and the Rtos. I hope you have understood the third difference. Just give me the confirmation. Kakde, Deshmukh.
Was there someone's like
Hello. I'm not getting the things actually. I'm not getting your voice clear. Okay. What about other people's? Baravkar. Baravkar is there. Kunal Agarwal. Kunal, are you getting the difference or not? Yes. Okay. Okay. So just I will summarize all these things. Okay. Once again, the first point of desktop OS and Rtos. So the first difference between desktop OS and Rtos is this, that is, in desktop OS, whenever you turn on your PC, the control of your system is taken by the OS first, and after that it will shift control to the application software. In embedded system, what happens, whenever you turn on the embedded system, the control of the system is taken by the application software first, and after that it will shift control to the Rtos. Okay, so this is the first difference. Now the second difference is that if in Rtos, if application fails, the Rtos is also fails, because in Rtos your OS and the application softwares are tightly tied to each other. Okay, that means they are highly dependent on each other. The failure of application software will leads to the failure of the Rtos. Okay, but now in desktop system, what happened? It will protect its OS, okay, against the failure of your application software. Means even though application fails, your OS will not fail. It will protect themselves against the failure of your application. Okay. And the third difference is that in terms of memory or in terms of the required services, now on the desktop system, you have the very large memory that is contained on your hard disk. So it is possible to install all different types of services, that is all different types of drivers. And this is possible because of the high size or fast size of your hard disk. Okay. Even though you are not going to use all 100 number of services, still you are going to install all 100 drives. Okay, but in Rtos, what happen, we don't have that much of memory, so we are not going to install all different types of services on the Rtos or on embedded system because the limitation of the memory. So in Rtos, we will just use, or we will use the services, or we will install the drivers that are required to run our applications on. Okay, so there is a constraint. We have put a constraint, that is, if you require, only then you will install. If you don't, do not install. Okay, so that is the main difference between the desktop OS and the Rtos. Now there's a one comparison chart I have prepared, that is conventional OS, desktop OS and the Rtos. Okay, so I will discuss this also. So first point is okay, I have only 1 minute remaining from the previous 40 minutes. Okay, so if I lose this session again, rejoin please. Okay, so first point I will discuss, that is, in conventional OS there is a difference between operating system and application softwares. Okay, so I have told, just try to understand the basic, that's what is the operating system and what is the application software. Okay, so in conventional OS, there is a difference between operating system and the application software. However, in Rtos, everything is a single piece of the code. Okay, means even though I will say the Rtos and application softwares are different, but again I have used the same statement, that is the Rtos and the application softwares are highly or tightly connected to each other. Okay, that means they are highly dependent to each other, or sometimes this is also called as the Rtos and application softwares both are same. Okay, that is a single piece of code. So the failure of application software will fail the Rtos. That is the reason. Okay. Now, the second difference between the conventional OS and RTOS is that your conventional OS will perform many jobs at a time. Okay, that means if I turn on my desktop OS, so right now I have opened the Internet Explorer, I have opened the Paint, I have opened the Zoom, I have opened the PowerPoint. So number of application softwares or number of jobs